I found my copy of New York, New York on DVD at the Dollar Tree before it became the $1.25 tree, and yes, I'm still mad about that. This is a film directed by Martin Scorsese, one of my all-time favorite directors, and stars Robert De Niro and Liza Minnelli. I will say going into this one, this is a film I've heard the title of and the theme of, but as far as that goes, I went into this one pretty blind. I haven't seen all of Martin Scorsese's films yet. There's a small handful of his narrative films I haven't seen yet, and I really haven't watched very many of his documentaries, but he's a director that I really want to try to watch everything from. With that being said, New York, New York is probably my least favorite I've seen from the Eyebrow Man himself. And with that being said, it's not a bad movie either. The film opens up on Robert De Niro's character Jimmy Doyle on VJ Day at a party as he bounces from girl to girl, instantly becoming a sleazeball. He ends up spotting Francine Evans, played by Liza Minnelli, and Francine blows him off time and time again until he basically weasels his way to her. When Jimmy is on his way to audition as a jazz saxophone player, Francine gets dragged along, and with her singing ability and his sax playing, they land a gig that she ends up bailing on. This starting their very toxic and tumultuous relationship, as basically Francine just wants love and to live her life, while Jimmy can't stand her casting a shadow over him. The film is listed as a musical, and while there's plenty of musical numbers, the set pieces are more diegetic than something like a more traditional musical. Still with that, these musical set pieces are long, and honestly, I felt the 2.5 hour runtime for sure. I do want to say that this film is 100% a 10 out of 10 for somebody. I can see people really loving this film. However, this is not a film for me. This just isn't my style of film, and while I do find a lot of the direction and scale impressive from a technical standpoint, both De Niro and Minnelli are fantastic in the leads, I really couldn't get into this film hardly at all. Out of the gate, De Niro's Jimmy Doyle is a pretty abhorrent person, and he constantly gets worse as the film progresses, but the film tries to kind of get you to like him to a certain degree. Then there's no reason I would believe Francine or really anyone who would love this guy. He is a constant bridge burner, and maybe if there was like love at first sight, but their relationship really kind of starts off from a point of being nagged. Maybe their music is what ties them together. We do have a scene where Francine and Jimmy play together for the first time. That's supposed to be like this dynamic duo setup, but the rest of the film doesn't really explore this, as Jimmy just grabs for power from within the band, but Francine kind of just goes off to do her own thing that leaves Jimmy to fall apart. Francine has all the power despite Jimmy demanding the power, and thus has nothing. This is an interesting idea that doesn't feel fully explored and kind of leaves their on-screen relationship to feel kind of pointless. Like, why does she love him so much? We get all the great emotional scenes with outstanding acting, but that's unfortunately left somewhat hollow at its core when their on-screen relationship feels so flimsy in its construction. Between the musical numbers, the lavish production, great camera work, terrific performances, I can really see why people would love this film despite my issues. There's a lot of moments between Francine and Jimmy that I really love, and the skeleton of the narrative on paper is great for sure. Maybe someone else could really connect into this relationship a lot more than I could have, but I think for me it's a 6 out of 10.